Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 Wonder Spotlight, where today we'll be taking a look at Jebel Barkal. So Jebel Barkal is a wonder that is unlocked with the ironworking technology. This does make it a classical era wonder. To get the Eureka for ironworking, all that you have to do is put a mine over a source of iron, something that is very simple to do, and something that you can pretty much do whenever you want, unless you're really unfortunate and you don't happen to have a source of iron in your land. So overall, it is very easy to get to ironworking and very easy to rush for Jebel Barkal because it is still fairly early on in the tech tree. It is a classical era wonder, much like most of the other wonders that we've talked about in the past few videos. Once you research ironworking, the building requirements for Jebel Barkal are as follows, and there is really only one, so they're very simple, and that's just you must place it atop a desert hill. So this can be accomplished in pretty much every single game, unless if you're really not close to any desert at all, or if you're really unlucky and there are no desert hills. But normally I do find it to be fairly easy to satisfy this requirement, because normally there's at least one desert hill tile in my entire empire by the time I get to ironworking. So overall, the building requirements are very straightforward, and the production cost for Jebel Barkal is 400 production, which is the exact same as all of the other classical era wonders. The bonuses for Jebel Barkal are that it will provide +2 sources of iron, and it will provide +4 faith to all cities within 6 tiles. So the bonuses as a whole for Jebel Barkal, I think, are situationally very good, but a lot of the time I find that I don't manage to utilize them as well as they possibly could be utilized. So the +2 sources of iron is something that, if you're really struggling for iron, then that can be helpful, but most of the time you'll have at least 1 or 2 sources of iron with somewhere in your borders, and even if you don't have that, normally you can trade with somebody to get at least 1 source of iron. So +2 sources of iron I don't think is very good. I mean, I guess you can trade it away for luxuries or something, but I don't find it to be particularly impactful. The bonus that is particularly impactful can be the +4 faith to all cities within 6 tiles, and this works very similarly to like the Colosseum, because the Colosseum provides amenities to all cities within, I think it's still 6 tiles, it might only be 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 6. But getting that in all cities within 6 tiles means that you can get that in, maybe 4 or 5 cities, and then that's 16 or 20 extra faith per turn. In the classical era, that is a lot of that's a lot of return for only 400 production, is to get 20 faith per turn, or even 24 if you're really good at planning. The only problem is it often is pretty hard to plan in advance where exactly you're going to get Jebel Barkal, because especially since you don't generally want to settle like extremely heavily in desert, that means that you're probably not going to have too many cities around that desert area, so you're not going to be like centralized around the desert. So you're probably not going to get more than 4 cities that are around Jebel Barkal, but even so, 16 faith per turn, that is quite a bit and can be strong, especially in the classical era. The only other issue is that just faith gameplay right now as a whole is kind of weak in Civ 6, so the fact that this is a faith-focused wonder, it really kind of just makes it a little bit less desirable, just because of the general status of faith gameplay in Civ 6 and how weak it is in comparison to like domination or science. And now it is that time to rate Jebel Barkal. So if you're new to the series, what I do is I give each wonder a rating on a 1 to 5 scale, with 5 being amazing and 1 being terrible, and that rating just kind of gauges the overall effectiveness of the wonder and how good its bonuses are. I'm going to talk about some use cases for the wonder as well, and then I'm going to give it a rating in both difficulty and consistency. Also, both of those are on the 1 to 5 scale, and the difficulty rating just kind of judges how competitive you have to be to build the wonder before the AI and how difficult its placement requirements are. And that's assuming deity difficulty, by the way. And the consistency rating just kind of judges how consistent the bonuses are and how useful and versatile they're going to be in any given game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and rate Jebel Barkal. So for its overall rating, I think that it deserves a 2. I often don't find that it's a wonder that I particularly want to go for, and it's one that I very rarely ever build. So the sources of iron are decent, but a lot of times I find that I don't need them, and it's not worth 400 production just to get 2 sources of iron. The +4 faith can be good if you're going for a religious game and have a lot of cities that you could get around Jebel Barkal, but once again, it's one of those things that I don't find myself, specifically thinking about Jebel Barkal, because I would much rather get some of the nearby wonders like Mahabodhi Temple or Hagia Sophia or any of those ones, because I find that those are a lot more impactful towards a religious game than Jebel Barkal is. But nonetheless, it still isn't terrible, because if you can plan your cities very well around Jebel Barkal, you can get a lot of faith per turn, and that is very helpful towards religious victory. As far as the use cases for Jebel Barkal are concerned, we've kind of touched on them already, and that's to secure a source of iron if you absolutely need it, or to provide a large faith boost, and both of those are self-explanatory, and I've talked about those quite a bit already, so I won't go into further depth, but those are really the only two situations I would ever find myself building Jebel Barkal in. As far as its difficulty rating is concerned, I think that it deserves a 3. Surprisingly, even though it's not the best wonder, the AI still love to build it, and they will put it down in most games. They're not going to be super competitive towards it like they are for some of the early wonders, like Hanging Gardens, but still, you do have to be at least somewhat diligent if you want to get it, and that's been a common theme with a lot of the classical era wonders, that as long as you're somewhat diligent towards going for the wonder, you'll probably be able to build it, so for that reason, I think it deserves the 3. For its consistency rating, I think it deserves a 2, just because, as I've mentioned, it definitely has some consistency issues with its bonuses. Much like with the Colosseum, you need to have a lot of early planning to be able to fully utilize the bonuses that you can get from Jebel Barkal. If you're able to get a lot of cities in the 6-tile radius, then it can be very good, but if not, then it really is just terrible. Also, if you need iron, then it can be, then the bonuses can be very good, but if you don't need iron, then that's half of the bonuses of Jebel Barkal just totally gone. So it's definitely not one of the most consistent wonders, and for that reason, I think it deserves the 2. So thank you everyone for watching. I've been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.